The timeline changed in 2016. Something happened in 2016. It's like you can draw a line at that year, and everything before that line was the real world, and everything after that line is the fake world. It is as if the whole mood of everything changed overnight. The world became darker, bleaker, more hopeless. People started becoming angrier, more divided, started freaking out over the dumbest shit possible. Everything became unstable, and you started seeing insane shit happening in the news, like wars, pandemics, tyranny, censorship, extremism, which never happened at this rate before 2016. Think back to how life used to be, even just a few years before. 2010 to 2015 felt like a completely different universe compared to post-2016. 2010 to 2015 felt like a fuller, more vivid, more real world, in which it was easier to make sense of everything that was going on in the world. Post-2016 just feels like chaos, and on top of that, it also just feels fundamentally fake. Every day I wake up and look at the news and read the headlines, and it just doesn't feel real anymore. Everything reads like some fake and stupid fiction. It is as if, in 2016, the real world ended, and we instead started chugging along in the simulation. But it's just like a knockoff version of Earth. It will never compare to the real Earth that we all know and remember from 2015 and earlier. What happened in 2016X? What caused all of this? Lots of psychics at this point have told me that Hillary was supposed to win 2016, that Trump winning was a complete divergence of whatever was planned or supposed to happen. Pick related or posts from 2016, something did happen. Some people point to Matthew 24:22 as a clue to what, in terms of time running faster, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. I believe this shit, discussed with many people. All of them say that time somehow feels fast. Can we somehow prove it? I don't think you can. Some people say this is something to do with Revelation. I'm not really into the Bible, so I can't comment on that. You can go down that rabbit hole here. I do believe something though. I've always thought, and mostly still do, that the Mandela effect is mind tricks and faulty memory. However, when I was a child, I remember how I found it interesting that the Earth was on the Sagittarius arm of the galaxy, and my sun is in Sagittarius. What a funny coincidence, I thought. I also remember how I was obsessed with the constellation of Orion for some reason, not relevant. Later in life, I planned to study astrophysics, but changed my mind at the last minute, not relevant. Nevertheless, up to my mid-20s, I used to be a complete physics and astrophysics nerd. My point is, my knowledge of these things was not a passing knowledge. The Earth was on the Sagittarius arm of the galaxy, not on the Orion spur as it is now. This is the one Mandela effect I've experienced that I cannot explain. Some people say we moved to this other Earth. Perhaps the old one was on the Sagittarius arm. When that transition is complete, the 0 point time will end, and you will appear in your new game zone, planet. You will look the same, think the same, feel the same. In fact, it will be just like you all had some mystical experiences, and life will carry on as normal for you. Same houses, family situations, jobs, friends, lovers. Fuck. Did I undergo something like that around 2016? Maybe it's something a lot of people had, but it's simply not talked about. 2012 to 2016 was a physically fucked up time for me. No one believes me, but killing Harambe was the flashpoint that sent us down this way. For me personally, 2016 was a year full of some amazing opportunities that I didn't seize. I would absolutely love to go back, knowing what I know now. Stop it with this stupid timeline change in year X bullshit. Reality just chugs along, and things change at different rates. I started noticing Mandela effects as a kid, maybe 5 to 6 years before they were a meme. I noticed Berenstain and Fruit of the Loom IRL as a kid, and it kinda messed with me. I remember telling my mom, and she was like, "Oh, that's weird." 2016 was the year I nosedived into the void and purposefully manifested chaos in every area of my life and the people closest to me. I felt like I spent my whole life accumulating all of this bad energy from people and not having anywhere to put it, and no knowledge on how to transmute it. So I just kind of exploded all over the place like a fat juicy pimple and infected my venom into every single person in my tiny sliver of the world. Well, wrap it up, this guy's fault. A political psychological operation began that has yet to end. Ironically, this is exactly what people felt when 2001 became 2002. But people got desensitized between 2002 and 2015 and forgot they were in a psychological operation. Based on this pattern, the world should start to slowly get weirdly cozier until 2029, when calamity should hit again. You are going to have to post the year that you were born in order to gain credibility here. You might have just turned the age where things start to feel different, because everything you were saying is true for me of the years 2014 and 2015 rather than 2016. I had been noticing this exact shift for a couple of years by 2016. 2016 was the year I turned 24 years old, which they say is a very formative time. How do you manage to have a Mandela website that doesn't mention the two realest ones? Fruit of the Loom cornucopia, which evidence exists in their filled parents, and only in text-filled parents, and Sinbad as a genie before Shaq did it. David Bowie was the linchpin that held everything together. He was the last in the line of load-bearing individuals. When he died, the world began to unravel. He had no successor. YouTube comment to your post. The year y'all started to really fuck with me. Should have just let me, but no. Apparently seeking information is forbidden, fucking idiots. Y'all will regret messing with me while I'm in that state. I'm coming for each and every one of you cocksuckers. But now I know, and I see clearly now. So enjoy whatever peace remains, it won't last long. I remember why I'm here now. Fucking evil that doesn't know it's evil is the worst kind. I watch you burn countless worlds. Y'all will experience their flames. I am your jailer, and yeah, you get the idea. I remember the earth being on the Sagittarius arm. I trust my own intuition and memories, so I don't have to explain it like a moron to it. We used to be on the outer Sagittarius arm, and now we are here on the inner Orion spur, way closer to the center of the galaxy they now call the galactic core instead of a black hole. I also remember mirror on the wall, not magic mirror on the wall, and C-3PO never had a silver leg. Even Neil Idiot deGrasse remembers the Sagittarius arm. The sad fact is that nothing changed in 2016. It was just the same cycle that had happened over and over before. That is how history works. Nothing ever really changes. People have always been the way that they are now. Certain factors might change, but it's the same human element. I don't even remember anything specific from 2016. For me, it was 4 years after the failed 2012 Doomsday Prophecy, and 16 years after the Y2K Doomsday. It was also 15 years after 9/11, which was the event that led to the most loss of civil liberties. So, for those of us who lived through that, 2016 was not anything special. Yeah, a lot of significant life events happened for me in 2016. I know Anons aren't interested in my whole life story, so basically, I ended up on a completely different path in life than I had expected starting that year. Also, around the same time, everyone I knew, or tried to get to know except for 2 people, started ghosting me for no apparent reason. Was ghosting even a thing before the 2010s? I am in my 30s, and I clearly remember people being a lot more sociable and honest about their feelings in the early 2000s. Now it's like, everyone either keeps to themselves entirely, or if they do have something to say, they're just upset about something or other. Even the last people I know have been acting weird and more distant, not like they used to, and I'm just over here trying my best to enjoy my life. I stay off social media for all of the reasons above. I think it's a part of what's wrong with people these days. Anyway, I would be interested in hearing what more people think of this. A fake world is more easier to control. The internet is an example of a fake and controlled world. This does not happen only in 2016. confirmed. On January 1st, 2016, it seems that a totally different world began from December 31st, 2015, backwards. It is as if reality was given a strong varnish that stained absolutely everything false, and only got worse with each passing year. Have you noticed how people can't find what the hell to talk about with others, and pay attention to every insignificant thing to desperately make some topic of conversation that breaks the ruthless silence? Have you noticed how colorless and fake the world looks, even though technology has improved? Have you seen how irreparably disconnected people are from each other? How about we talk about how quickly time flies? And what about the rudeness with which each son of a bitch walks angry on two legs, believing that the world and other people owe them a favor? Before 2016, life and everything seemed more accessible and real. Now it can only be the post-credits of a horrible movie. It was always like that. Our collective awareness of these things has merely increased. People always talk shit to each other naturally, not like now, when you have to awkwardly fill silence with whatever. The world was noticeably more colorful, at least until 2013. Go to Google Maps. Time clearly passed by slower before. It didn't always feel so fast-paced, and not to mention the turbo-raging normies that we have today. It wasn't always like this, my dude. Of course not. 2020. No. I meant the latest and single biggest transfer of wealth from the poorest to the richest in history, and also the resignation almost overnight of thousands of CEOs of the biggest multinational corporations, and an unprecedented push to revert civil rights and attempt to establish a new standard for authoritarian governance in the name of public health. Not to mention the potential covered up murder of millions of senior citizens in care homes, in bizarrely similar, controversial mismanagement issues all over the world. We entered the age of Aquarius around 2020 to 2021. Our current era is ruled by Saturn, meaning people are becoming more restricted in expression. The previous age of Pisces was ruled by Jupiter, where its expansive energies made people more reflective, more open to possibilities, more heart-centered. Saturn is all about imposing restrictions to deal with mundane material life. I wouldn't doubt if the pandemic was a ritual to signify the changing of the guard, mass conformity, the deterioration of art, the increase in business-mindedness. These are some of the changes reflected of the transition from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. The transition period could be said to have started circa 2012 to 2016. It's not all bad though. The first 1,000 or so years of the age of Aquarius is co-ruled by Venus, which is likely where the huge divide amongst people comes from. Venus is about love, pleasure, compassion, freedom, etc. So the population, born with such predilections, sense the changing of the guard and are opposed to restrictive Saturnization of culture. I sense a war of biblical proportions is on the horizon between those who value restriction, conformity, intellect, and materialism, WEF, Illuminati, our controllers and their droids, and those who value expansiveness, individuality, heart-centered consciousness, and spiritualism. Lamau, seriously. These droids will believe anything the experts tell them to believe. Mind control is so fucking easy, and people are too proud of themselves to reflect upon how they could have been played as gullible fools. Personally, I'm starting to think the fake world is all there is actually. Even when things appear to be nice, it is always fake. For example, look at a picture of La Belle Époque, Paris World's Fair, 1900. Looks fake to me now. It's very pretty. Too much pretty to be real. Another example. All I see is spectacular lighting, bump mapping, filters. It's CGI to me now. No kidding. If you try and search, how did they build that? Then it is much less detailed, and all you see is 2 or 3 builders max on wooden ladders. Not realistic. I have a new theory. If it is true that 12 seconds today would have been 10 seconds in the past before time got fucky, you ever notice how teens and young adults in old movies just look older than a person their age would look today? Maybe it's because their time moves slower, so they actually age faster, / more than we do in what is supposedly the same amount of time. Hence why a 20-year-old in 1980 looked like what a 25 to 30-year-old would look like now, because their time was slower. I'm not sure if that was exactly 2016, but yes, this is not the real world. More like some backup version or simulation. ME is 100% real and proof we are constantly shifting. Check FE, Flintstones, Fruit Loops, and Houston we have a problem flip-flops. Time is speeding up. I'm not American, but I always knew the Massachusetts counting method. It used to work, now it doesn't. I did a little test with many, even the most skeptic friends. You can do it too. Just tell them to count seconds as they remember it, up to 60. At the same time, start the stopper and compare the results. Each time they were counting 10 to 30% slower than real seconds. All of this is just a tip of an iceberg. Everything around us became batshit crazy, but 99% of NPCs can't or don't want to see it. Every day I wake up and look at the news and read the headlines. Well, there's your problem. Humans are naturally inclined to focus on negative shit. It's a survival instinct. An individual who focuses only on the positive will be blindsided and less likely to survive when bad shit happens than someone who focuses on the negative, as they will likely be more prepared. Mass media has taken advantage of this instinct for their own personal profit. They know that doom and gloom sells, so that is why it's all you'll hear about. Stop watching the news and notice how much, and focus on the small things around you, and notice how much happier you'll feel after a few weeks. I've slipped into this unconscious habit of thinking to myself, I want to go home, periodically through the day, accompanied with a feeling of longing for something I can't name. Weird thing is, it happens when I am at my house / home. I don't know why I think it. I have nowhere else to go. Maybe it's the timeline shift you talk about. Maybe it's that I have always felt like I don't belong in this world. Who knows, but the feeling has only gotten worse. I've felt this way since I was a kid, more so recently. I'm not interested or inclined to achieve anything, or even participate in society, in this life, so I constantly wonder, what the fuck am I doing here? I used to think, what the fuck am I doing with my time in a negative way? Like I was wasting my time or life and being lazy. Now when I ask myself, what the fuck am I doing? It's because I don't really see the purpose of going through the motions of this life anymore. I have nothing to get done, or achieve, or milestone to meet, nor is there anything else I feel like I need to do / see in order to feel good or better about myself. Nah bruh, really I'm good. I don't need any more. It feels like I've thoroughly gotten and understand whatever message I was supposed to receive in this life of mine, and now I live in the leftovers because I've just been left behind. Man, yeah, it doesn't feel like I was made for this world. I don't understand the whole carrot and stick rat race of having a career beyond the need to pay for land and materials. If I had my choice, I would work part-time and focus my energy on a mixture of homesteading and writing. But these days you have to work full-time to have a hope of paying a mortgage and saving for your future. I hate the degeneracy, both moral and intellectual, of the modern era. Find most people to be bothersome to talk to. So many of the shallow enjoyments that the NPCs love are lost on me, and when I engage most people in the deeper conversation that I like, it feels like I am trying to drive a nail through a steel plate instead of engaging with a peer. I pine for close-knit communities which don't exist anymore, yet even if they did exist, I would still be solitary and rarely interact with people out of simple disinterest. Ah, another soul who has accepted their fate to live a solitary existence makes me feel less alone, ironically. I feel the same way, that even if I were around like-minded people, I'd still fuck off and want to be alone, but with animals because they are cool people. I continue to try and dull the rage I feel for being born a literal wage slave, but the system, prison, has been so perfected that I feel stuck in an endless cycle of spending all of my time, energy, resources towards trying to feel better after wage slaving sucks my heart and soul dry, and then seeing no progress and feeling further entrapped, perhaps once I have the means to be my own boss and never have to answer to these fucking archon puppets again, the fire of rage inside of me shall be quenched. But I am so tired of playing, and I want the fuck out. It's so weird. I feel compelled to interact with people, and can even enjoy their company. But typically, when I seek them out, I just end up wanting to go do something else instead of interacting with them. And yeah, the endless cycle of work draining you so you don't have the energy to come up with a side hustle is something I really struggle with. I want to write a novel, but my prime writing time is 11 to 3. After 6 p.m., I am too sluggish to be creative, unless it's midsummer and I still have 3 hours of sunlight left. I hate how entrapped I feel. Another recurring thought enters my head almost as if it were injected externally. I have to get out of here, spoken with the same urgency as if I were in a burning building. What happened in 2016? The Mandela effect happened, but it was an event that spread into the past, and it spread all the way to Bill Haley and his comets. His name used to match the comet, it doesn't anymore, and before. The sun became white. The human skull became completely different, just like the heart moved to the center instead of being to the left, and the kidneys moved up to the ribcage. South America moved thousands of miles to the east, and now if you turn the map counterclockwise, the American continent looks like a duck, for starters. It may be a cliche by now, but CERN remains the main suspect. I'd never heard about them until reading about the John Titor stories, but now they were the ones that created the World Wide Web. Very suspicious. No, it was 2012 because my Mayan calendar and a disaster movie. Nothing happened in 2012. What's usually attributed to 2012 actually started in 2007, like social media and smartphones causing a major decline in internet and life quality. This is also wrong. If nothing else, 2016 caused the current state of affairs, where everyone is at war with one another over trivial things like which political party you support or whether or not you believe you should be wearing a mask or not. Even the so-called men are now interested in idle gossip about internet celebrities and mildly strange people, as seen in internet blood sports. This very sight, every time someone decides to talk about some internet celebrity, mass psychosis afflicts everyone. People have become increasingly insane, more puritanical, and generally insufferable, killing off the freedom that one used to get, at least on the internet. This started in 2016. New Puritanism arguably started in 2014 and intensified in 2019. I keep having obsessive thoughts about death in the last few years. Can't stop thinking and fearing it, whether or not there will be an afterlife. I almost feel like the story of Adam and Eve was a symbol for all of us. We all were perfect and immortal in this life, where we slowly get sick and die, and watch everyone around us get sick and die. This is hell. We are fucked if this is true. It's too late to save us, holy fuck. Death will be the ultimate, most brutal suffering, the same as gore images when you look at them. That feeling of dread you get is because gored bodies is the end result. This is what we become, nothing else. I had a dream that the real world was a simulation, and people were basically controlled by computer scripts, and something rare happened to one of my scripts, and it changed the way I thought. After the script stopped running, my brain started to heal, and I started to see past the matrix in a sense. I started to feel more alive than usual, and time appeared to slow down. I calculated that the time perception scripts were currently set to run at 20 to 24 times faster, which means that people experience time 20 to 24 times faster than they should, but I was free of this now. I was looking for a newspaper because apparently the media was making fun of one of my female friends, but two strange people kept getting in my way, so I stopped looking for the newspaper, and then I saw a bunch of normal everyday people. But they were saying, "I want to take my own life, I want to take my own life," over and over again, and I started having thoughts like, why are they all saying this? What kind of world are we really living in? What is happening here? And then I saw a red heart inside of a teal furnace thing, and the heart said, "It is we who torment you all. We torture you the most, using the things you love the most. We hurt you the most by using the things that you love the most." Then I got more angry than ever, and I tried to tear the heart to shreds, but the heart could not be hurt. I felt urgency and dread because everyone on Earth was being tortured by some shady group, and nobody could stop the heart. I started yelling, "Take me to your leader. Take me to your fucking leader." And a bunch of shadowy men started to get closer to me, and then the script turned back on, and I felt my emotions fade away, and I found the newspaper and gave it to my friend. She was playing video games. Then I woke up, feeling emotional. Other changes to keep in mind. Exorcisms and demonic possessions are the highest that they have ever been, as per Catholic exorcists. Psychedelic use is at an unprecedented level, time-speeding up phenomena. This one started probably in 2012 to be honest, Tetsuya. Grey alien iconography at unprecedented levels. Raid Area 51 lol. YouTube comments are increasingly unsettling and weird. Binaural beat / manifestation videos. The Grey Goop slop remakes of Lion King, Aladdin, etc. Fortnite. Something really sinister about this game that's hard to pinpoint. TikTok. Just lol. I could go on and on. The end result is everything becoming faker. The real question is, why? Just some ideas for what changed then and since then. Trump's campaign and later his victory, bringing a whole bunch of unpleasant, far-right lunatics into the political mainstream which were previously off limits, for good reason, severely shifting American and greater Western politics in the process, while the neoliberal and politically rather managerial, centrist and center-right mainstream has been largely unable to really respond to this, while the left couldn't really find itself either. The digitalization of modern Western society aggressively continuing, but more and more centralized onto just a few dozen giant but exceedingly mediocre platforms. In 2020, COVID coming around and ending the 2010s with quite an unpleasant bang. The usual Western cost of living problems and crises worsening and worsening. I used to think it was some sort of reality shift, but now I think it is just a natural downshift in society / civilization. We are at the edge before a large and negative event, so naturally, weird and bizarre things are happening because that is a symptom of a sick and dying age. The last dying time was the world wars and the depression in between, including the disease outbreaks, but out of that, we got relatively good and innovative times. So, we are on another downturn, but it is always cyclical, so after the bad times ahead, we can look forward to whatever comes next. Work in northern Alberta for an oil field company. I maintain wells in an area known as Chinchaga. If you look it up, you will learn it's 120 to 160 kilometers in the woods. There is one main road that vehicles can travel in summer and winter. However, in winter, once the muskeg freezes, they make winter access roads. Because of this, 90% of the work is done in winter. Getting to the sites on quads is even very hard in summer. I get promoted to a run where I am helicopter escorted because it's impossible to get to these sites any other way. One time in the summer, I'm on my helicopter run, easily 200 kilometers, plus in the bush now. I go to check on a separator building, a place where all the liquids and gas from a well gather to be measured before going down the pipeline. As I'm going in, this guy who must be 30 to 40 walks out beside me. He's got a backpack, wearing an Iron Maiden t-shirt and ragged jeans. As he is walking away, I call out to him, "Hey, sir, you need help? We can take you to nearest town." He does not respond. He just keeps walking. My pilot is looking at me confused. I return his confused look with a shrug gesture. Iron Maiden guy just walks into the trees surrounding the area. Never heard of him again. I have some other weird shit, but that one bugs me the most, it still sticks with me. Picture related. This is why work does not happen when the ground is flat.